loving to throw their superiority in other people's faces. And it's a big Garista's bunny with the XII, the 12 logo, like embedded right into it.
I think the artists working on them had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Certainly seemed happier to do that than to respond to any of my emails.
It's common practice not to respond to emails.
Yeah.
That's
one of the first things I did when I saw that was I called up CCP Falcon, who's another Garistas enthusiast, and brought him up to see it because I knew he would really enjoy it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite kind of decals we've ever put on any ship. I really like it. Yeah.
So we are experiencing slight delays with the next match, unfortunately, but we'll get back on track as soon as possible.
Well, in the meantime, it just means more time with Antiquarian here.
Yeah.
What would you say is the...
Lovely!
Yeah.
Welcome to the chopping block.
What would you say is the like favorite ship you've visually that you've worked on since you started here? Or any that stand out that you really appreciate being a part of?
I am again, like I mentioned before, a big fan of the sister ships. That like they were unique to me. But some of the earlier stuff that I did was working when we were introducing linear lighting. So we actually went through all of the ships, which as a player I had never done. My character is fairly limited in what he's capable of flying. But so being able to work on everything or having a chance to look at all of the ships that were available in game was amazing. And it's hard for me, especially when I work with the artists, to pick any of them and say like, oh, this is my baby, or this is the one that I like the most. It's hard, not impossible. I spent a lot of time looking at the Oracle, like a lot of time. Like I still spend a lot of time looking at the Oracle.
I can't wait till we start releasing skins for the Oracle, because some of them look so good.
I am sure that the correct people will respond to that at an appropriate time.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how that's going to work.
This is what we call putting somebody on the spot.
Yay! In the coming release, we've got the Space Object Factory going out, which is a new way that we're loading the ships into the game graphically, and that's making a lot of steps towards people here and people who are interested having the option of using, much like the blueprints that we released last time, more customizable ship appearance.
Yes.
It's not quite at the level that we've been requested just yet.
Yeah, baby steps.
The Hello Kitty ship is not coming
Not going to happen.
Sorry.
My daughters will be sad to hear that.
But we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there bit by bit.
So if I, for instance, we were talking earlier, I really love the Damnation, and the Curse is actually my favorite ship as well. So if I wanted that kind of color scheme on, say, an Abaddon, you know, is that something down the road at some point maybe coming? If I wanted to make a black Abaddon or a black Armageddon or whatever, you know.
I couldn't say that it's necessarily coming. I would say that we've seen we've seen ships done that way in our system, where we've just taken like the Conid color scheme and we've applied it down to ships where you wouldn't normally see it. I've seen a Serum Oracle, which again. Hard to pick a favorite, not impossible.
Actually, we can give a bit of a shout out to the website Calorie Prime Pony Club, which is a completely third-party website. It's run by a guy who used to be on the CSM, as a long-time member of the EVE community, who does his own kind of versions using some of the information that we make public, and then his own code. He applies skins to different ships, and you can view it in a 3D viewer on that website.
It's really actually quite tremendous.
Yeah, it is amazing. And so that gives you kind of a hint of what some of these ships could look like, and it's a great website to browse through. He does a really amazing job with it, and he loves to make really pretty pictures and put them on Twitter with it.
Oh, that's most important of all.
Yes, it is the most important. Yeah.
But yeah, so this is all, the skins are all sort of the first stepping stones in a direction.
Yes, I'll say yes.
Let's
try yes.
So yeah, no, but this is all that I wanted to say. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We have time. So we have time.
We have another 10 years to work on it. Hopefully, Eve is infinitely complex with infinite directions, and we're always at the very beginning.
Yep. Very wise.
Very deep way.
Very deep. Wow. So the reason we're having this delay is that we have had difficulties getting the last pilot out of the system, out of the last match for some reason, and
Oh gosh.
our wizards are on it. No worries.
Can't just make him log off.
It was a little bit.
Don't log back into E.
I'm told it was a little bit more complex than that, but we'll just keep going.
Did he try to pull a Gobbins? Is this
Oh,
what
did you try to
happened?
warp off to a gate?
There aren't any gates actually. Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
there,
there
there
are.
are gates.
there are. Yeah, there are.
There are gates, but if you try to jump through them, we do what we did to Gobbins, and we ban you from the tournament. So for a year, he got to come
break
back
the
later.
Who was it who did that
Kids.
in SCL? Somebody did that. We did SCL in PE1.
Yeah,
and
but that
somebody
was
started
on
running away.
Sissy though
It was
too.
on
so
Sissy,
yeah,
but
yeah.
somebody
It was
started
one of the
running.
commentators. I
Yeah,
think,
it was somebody who started
and
running.
I moved him back into the spot, and then I took away all of his speed, so he couldn't move.
But if we go real quick, now that we have some time with you guys, if we go real quick over the schedule that's coming today, we'll be going through the losers bracket for the first 8 matches of the day. The only sort of decided ones still are the next 4 we have. So because we have Shadow Cartel versus the Afterlife next,
Yep.
and then we have Outbreak versus Triumvirate.
Oh, that's gonna be a great match.
Ronin took out MIF, so they go up against Road Capel, which is going to be a match you'll really be excited about.
It's either going to be amazing or tragic. I don't know which. I've seen some of the stuff that Rote's been kicking around this weekend or this week, and some of it is. Let's just say if they bring it, it's going to be amazing to watch. I don't know. I don't know how serious they were with it. They don't keep me at that level of secrecy or whatever. But either way, it's going to be a really good match. I think Rote have a lot of good setups prepared. Ronin are obviously a very strong team, and Rote are really eager to kind of take a next step up into the tiers of teams. They feel like we're always kind of maybe not in the top 8 or so. We want to be there. We feel like we should be there. So to break out of that top 16 into that kind of top 8 would really be a coup for Rote Capel, and I think they really want to do it this year. So
The matches coming up after that are no small matches either. We have the previous winner of the previous match, I should say, Test Alliance versus Hydra Reloaded. That's going to be an interesting.
Yeah. It'll be great to see how Hydra has reacted to getting bumped down into the losers bracket. This is obviously means that today is much higher pressure for them than they'd hoped it would be, and we'll see what they bring out in response to that. Are they going to bring out something completely new and awesome that no one has seen yet? Because at this point they're up against the wall, and that is going to be where we're going to see Hydra at its best.
well, and they have a couple of matches to get through. If they they win the test match, they would go on the winner of Rote Capel and Ronin, and after that, it would be whoever comes out of the other side of the bracket in the elimination bracket, which could be Exodus, TNT, or some matches we haven't seen. Or Shadow Cartel, Afterlife. Exactly. There's a lot of really good teams, so they're going to have to get through like 4 more matches to get to the final.
Yeah, so for them, they would face the winner of Rote Capel Ronin if they beat Test, and then after that, they'd face the loser of the Tuskers Camel.
There you go. Okay.
So, and then after
Jeez.
that, they'd face the other side of the bracket.
And interesting,
So,
Camel, I think, was one of their practice partners.
Yep,
So
Camel
that
is their
gets
very
always
close
interesting
friend.
to see that happen.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. We were talking earlier about wondering how many setups Hydra has, and were they ready to show them? I think last tournament they kind of brought mostly the same setup until pretty late in the tournament, just to hide their their secrets. And this time around they tried to do it again, and it bit them.
Yeah.
And now they're faced with a choice. Do they have enough setups to show some new ones now, or are they going to try to ride that same setup all the way through?
So the important part to remember is that the teams that are fighting now before the break, they all have potentially 3 matches today. So if Test go through Hydra, which I'm betting on, because I am going a phrase that is not worthy of repeating, it's not PG-13. He will go. They've gone through Pasta. They'll come up against Hydra Reloaded, and then the winner of that match, like you guys said, will go up against the loser of the Tuskers versus Camel.
yes.
So that's 3 matches just today.
Yeah. So the people in the first half can face up to 3 matches, or the people in the first kind of quarter. They can also face as few as 1 match in the entire rest of their tournament, because they are up against the wall here. These teams all cannot lose another match at all. When you see right after the break, when we do Tuskers Camel and PL Nully, those guys who lose their series are actually still in the tournament. They get knocked down to the elimination bracket.
But those guys could even fly up to 3 matches because those are best of 3 series. So that's hard fought. And I guess neither of those. Yeah, no. And so the loser of those could then go on to another match.
So they
think I should fight 4
They
matches.
can fight 4 matches today. Yeah.
That's insane. And all in the second half of the day. So you want to talk about you don't want to be on the losing end of a best of 3 in the winners bracket because you're going to wind up playing a 4th match. You're going to be just destroyed by the end of that.
later,
Yeah.
So- It's this. There's the hanging fruit that they get rattlesnake skins. I mean, that's something. But while we wait for the delay to clear up, we're going to go to an interview we did with Monkeys with Guns, where we I talked to the team captain to sort of get his feel for how the Alliance tournament has been going for him. They're out, of course, unfortunately, but still, let's see what he had to say. Here I have the Monkeys with Guns alleged ghost. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the experience you've had with the Alliance Tournament 12 so far.
Well, I mean, it was exciting to say the least. It's our first time, my first time, so particularly being in the Alliance Tournament, and most of my pilots' first times as well as being there. Being team captain was certainly an experience, for want of better words. I don't think I'll be doing that next year if we decide to go in, but I'll certainly be on the roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Certainly something different to EVE, other than the normal grind from Faction War. But
yeah, you guys come from Galente Factional Warfare, right?
yes, we do. It's the Glente Blaster Brawl we did for our first run.
It made a lot of people very happy.
I'm glad. I particularly note Sir Squeebles.
Yeah. Yeah.
He enjoyed it.
So what would you say were the high points of your run?
Probably the first. I mean, although we won the second match, that was definitely my team's high point, I think. But the first match was definitely mine. It was despite there being some technical delays on both sides, on both teams. It was just that kind of weight in the Alliance tournament solar system, where we were just all shouting local and having good fun, and it was like it was our first fight. We didn't have a clue what was going on. We were in local, and it was like my whole team was on TeamSpeak, absolutely bricking themselves. No idea what was coming. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, we're going to be sitting here for, I think it was like delayed by like an hour.
Yeah.
So by the end of it, it was just like, just get it over, just shoot us, man, come on. But yeah, it was definitely one of the high points. The other high point was definitely winning.
Yeah.
That was certainly, I was very happy about that, obviously.
The fact that you guys are new, do you have any sort of tips to share with other new alliances that might want to come into the Alliance tournament, or any tournament for that matter?
Just go for it, man. Honestly, that's what we did. We just went kind of guns blazing. Our first match was it was pre-planned what our composition was going to be. So we knew exactly what we were doing from day one. For day two onwards, we pretty much tried to copy everyone else's composition who would won. Even though that particular fit we used was a copy of the one against PL, and PL beat it. But we had a strong feeling our opponents wouldn't be as strong as PL's bumping technique.
Yeah.
So
what did you think of the metas that sort of arose during the weekend?
I was honestly disappointed with the amount of drone metas. I mean, I was expecting it to all be like everything would have Ishtars or Eagles, or not Eagles, Helas and stuff. But I was more so interested in the kind of like long range setups. My original like team kind of setup would have been a field of 3 Cerberus and 3 real Nagas, and then 2 Sniper Corpsmen. I can't remember the rest of it. But it was just very long range, kind of mediocre alpha and relatively low DPS, but just to kind of chew away at people. But then I realized everyone's going to be going like rattlesnakes and stuff, and they're just going to have a massive kinetic thermic tank, and there's no point in doing anything like that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of drone setups. Although drones can be classed as snipers as well, I suppose, with the Ishtars and stuff. But I would have preferred more kind of gun ships rather than the drone ships.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, that watching drones isn't that fun. But yeah. I think it'll grow on people.
Yeah. I really like the 3 Maelstrom setup. I really wanted to field that myself at one point.
Yeah.
Like if we got later into the tournament, which we didn't.
Next time.
Next time, yep, definitely going to be our first fight.
But do you have any final thoughts? Like anything you want to share with the people?
Yeah, just, well, first off, try and join my alliance. That's going to get cut out. No, if you're in an alliance, definitely try and get into AT. I mean, it only got, like, we were in the original 63 or 62 who applied.
Yeah.
So there was 2 open slots or something, but I can't remember the exact number. So all we had to pay was the 5 plex to get in, and man, we had a hell of a lot of fun doing it. I would certainly recommend people just throwing their name in. You know, if you don't get in, you don't get in. If you do, you're going to have some fun. You know, get your name out there, say hello to people, do interviews with CCP.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's always very fascinating to see the people behind the characters and to realize the logistics that go into running a tournament. Bacchanalian, you have been in a few of these before.
Quite a few, and I've captained a couple and kind of co-captained a couple, and it's really, it was just before the tournament schedule got like it is now, where you can fly 3-4 matches a day. You know, at that point it was 1 a day. And even with that, the time, it's actually a story I like to tell is we always manage to draw the short straw with the really early matches, which for some people in Europe or you know, on the Russian side, that's a good thing. But for those of us in the US, especially the western side of the US, some of those matches are atrociously early, especially when we require our pilots there 2 hours early. And we actually had a guy fall asleep in the middle of a match once and lose his ship as a result. Cost us enough points that we didn't advance. This was back when there was a group stage you had to advance out of, and we didn't advance by like less points than we would have gotten if he didn't die.
I imagine that's a nice inside joke in your.
He has the title Baggio. If anyone who watched it was the '94 World Cup where Reto Baggio could win with a penalty kick, and he kicked it like 10 feet over the goal, and so that's what he called himself that, and we just put it as corp title. And to this day, we give him crap about it. But
that's good.
Yeah.
Fozzie, you were also quite heavily involved in Alliance tournament logistics before you joined CCP, right?
Yep, yeah. I was involved with the PL team for a couple of years, and I didn't do as much of the logistics side of things. There was people that did a really great job of collecting everything together and having everything in the stations. I was more involved with the theory crafting side, so like coming up with the setups and testing them and all that. And intelligence gathering and that side of things.
Yeah, a side dabble in spying. That's
a little bit.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's sort of a side career.
It eventually resulted in now we have secure tournament systems to practice in, which is good.
Yep.
Drove us nuts that year. You were the one, I think, following us around when I was 88 or 9, where you were just following our team everywhere. We wound up canceling so many practices because we couldn't figure out how to get away from you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Those are the best ones when people would like yell at you in local and then log off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just smug nod.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get the filtering system on smug.
I learned so many insults in so many different languages that year. It was great. And feeding stuff into Google Translate, it's mistranslating, but it mistranslates it in the best ways.
I can
Always
remember that.
learning something new.
In Syndicate for a while, we had some Russians that lived like 2 doors over, and there's time zones they would just be getting up in the morning when we were going to bed, so we'd always wind up kind of fighting with them. And there was some interesting back and forths with Google Translate and local for sure, and just, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So to fill you guys in on the delay that we're experiencing, one of the people from Test Alliance is having trouble being transferred out of the tournament system for some reason. Maybe he really likes it there. We have our foremost wizards, code wizards, working on it to get it fixed as soon as possible. And in the meantime, we'll just try to make it not too awkward. It shouldn't be too hard.
It was going to be fine until you said that, and now
now you just. It's okay.
No, it's I mean, from the sounds of it, he's probably possessed by some form of demon.
Probably.
And so we just need, if anyone knows a old priest and a young priest, we'll get it handled just fine.
Well, we talked, a little bit earlier during the interview about we tested. This is the worst bug we could have possibly run into.
Yeah.
Elise, Apothny, Sir Squeebles, and I, the first, it's Friday, the first day, full day we were here, came in to just kind of test the tournament tool for these guys and get a feel for it. And countdown went, countdown 3, 2, 1, 0, and all of us spontaneously exploded. Mm-hmm. I guess the boundary had somehow relocated itself, so even though we were all at 0 on the beacon, we were all out of bounds and instantly just vanished.
We were very happy that day that we actually did some QA.
Right. You'd call me, this guy wouldn't be stuck in system. You should have got me down here. That's how it works.
On that note, we want to show you sort of what the Alliance tournament is all about with a music video.
Uh-oh.
It's been a long time, my friend, a long time. in just a flash. A lot of you shooting me, a lot of me shooting you, and Concord kicking everybody's ass. We have ignited violence on a massive scale. Scramble those who try to walk away. Nothing says I love you like a kill mail. So don't be surprised if I send you one today. Killing is just a means of communication. Killing is just a means of communication. Some say it's more the trip than the destination. Killing is just a means. Friendship grows from seed into a flower, blossoms in the starlit wonderland. We're doomed to fight for resources and power. So if I shoot you in the face, I'm sure you'll understand. For 10 years now we've sat and watched explosions, dancing to the rhythm of our hearts. Killing and dying still stirs up emotions. New Eden is a world where dying is an art. Killing is just a means of communication. Killing is just a means of communication. Some say it's more the trip than the destination. Killing is just a means. Some say it's more the trip than the destination. Hey girl, come fly with us, that's an invitation. Don't be afraid of a little death and exploitation.
Killing. It's just a means of communication.
So,
Hey, we're back.
and we're back.
Here we are.
I guess that the communication they're trying to get across here is, I want to win. That would be my guess.
That's a good way to communicate that is by killing.
Yes. Yeah. Especially if you're in a tournament, where it involves blowing up your opponent. But that song always inspires great things in me. I just want to whelp a gate camp somewhere. In the only named system in Syndicate, for instance.
Yeah,
That
we
was-
did some of that last night with the
Yeah.
commentator room. We definitely went through Poitot and had some fun.
We had some excellent times on that. I managed to lose a Orthrus. Thankfully, a very cheaply fit Orthrus.
Unlike the rest of it. That's the nice thing about flying with CCP is you can fit really expensively, because I think all the rest of us
everyone
were
shoots at us,
super expensive Orthrus. Like I think mine's like 4 billion or something stupid, and just no one shot at me once because I got too close. But
we are still experiencing a delay with a pilot being stuck in system still, and some other problems that we're trying to fix. And in the meantime, we'll just try to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the day. So we haven't still touched on the winners bracket semi-final, which is happening after the break. What that means is after the break we take for feeding and other stuff, like putting more powder on our faces and refilling my mug, we go to a best out of 3 match between the Tuskers Co. versus the Camel Empire and Pandemic Legion versus Nulli Secunda. These best out of 3 matches are interweaved in such a way that while one team is while the pairing in one match is trying to get their heads around what happened and planning for the next match, we have the other going on as we do that. Both these matches can potentially go up to 3, as happens in best out of 3s. Who would have thought? But it also potentially might mean that we'll see a landslide victory. And
with these ones, though, I think it's very possible. I actually, in my predictions, I've circled them all both series going to 3 in this.
I've actually done that too, because I think there might be. I'm going to assume that there's going to be a little bit of underestimation going on for the first match, and then when teams realize things are kind of real, they need to bring their real stuff.
I mean, the Tuskers have lost some ships, so I'm not sure whether Camel's going to appreciate whether they might be a good team or not. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that, whether they really underestimate them or they come in with one of their best things. Camel's been running kind of in the same way that Hydra was, a very similar set of setups. They've been relying very heavily on damps for pretty much all of their matches. And so if Tuskers can come up with either a good counter to that or can manage to beat whatever Camel switches it up to, then we could see some very, very good fights.
You know, something I mentioned earlier, they'd done some practicing with Hydra. It's almost a dangerous thing to do if you're not practicing with other teams too, is because you get caught up in a meta. You know, you see what one team is thinking and what one team is bringing, and you can kind of work around countering that. And as good as the team Hydra or Camel both are, do they truly explore the full meta? Because we've seen so many different interesting things coming out of, for instance, the CVA Damnation Sacrilege setup, or the kind of quasi-tinker that Test has brought. You know, you maybe miss out on the different things that could shake up the meta, and as a result, you get kind of tunnel visioned into some things. So I think you're right. There's going to be a shake up in that series. I think that maybe Camel being a very good team, Tuskers proving themselves to be a very good team. It really is going to be interesting to see if Camel can adapt.
And Tuskers is a team that we've talked a bit about this tournament. In fact, a lot of the times we talk about them, we're saying, wow, we're surprised that they are doing so well. Because, I mean, I think a lot of us expected them to be good pilots. They've got a lot of low-sec piloting experience. This is a very experienced and kind of fairly well-respected pirate corp. But we haven't seen them do a lot of the tournament before. And so going into, say, the match versus Exodus last weekend, I think we all basically selected Exodus at the table. And they shocked everyone. And that doesn't mean that we didn't think that they were a good team, but they've definitely exceeded even our kind of solid expectations for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning that on TQ, when you're fighting in day-to-day, it's a very different from the tournament in general. I mean, one of the easiest things to point out is the boundaries. You don't have, you're not fighting in a bubble that kills you if you go too far away, you know, on TQ. But on top of that, you have